Hi all, this is Yunus. Welcome to my channel. This video is about Jenkins, the DevOps tool. This is a beginner level lesson. I'll show you how to install Jenkins on AWS EC2, and I'll show you how to configure a small build project using Maven, and the resulting WAR file will be deployed onto a Tomcat server and we'll be able to view the corresponding web page. So the deployment part is done manually, but later I'll also be doing another video where I'll show you the complete end-to-end automation, including automated deployments. Okay, let's begin. Before we begin the lab exercise, let's talk about Jenkins, a couple of important features about Jenkins. Jenkins is an open source free DevOps tool for automating your SDLC process stages. And it can be integrated with a number of testing and deployment tools. So we know that in the market there are tools which can automate various SDLC stages such as build, deployment, testing, etc. Jenkins can integrate with most of those tools available in the market. And it is highly extensible, of course, because it needs to have plugins for the other industry leading tools. So it is highly extensible. And it can be easily integrated with cloud platforms such as AWS. For example, it can be integrated with AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Deploy, Code Build, etc. I'll be creating some videos where I will show how to integrate the AWS DevOps tools with Jenkins. And in this lab exercise, there are some 7 steps. So I'm just giving that idea now itself so that you will not get lost when you are going through this lab exercise. I'll first launch an EC2 because on top of the EC2 only I'm installing Jenkins. So in step 2 I will install Jenkins. Then in step 3 I will configure Jenkins, and then I will set up the GitHub repository. You can basically fork my GitHub repository for the purpose of doing this exercise. After that I will create a build project in Jenkins. Then I will actually execute that build project. Once the build is complete and the WAR file is available, I'll deploy the WAR file in a Tomcat web server and we will be able to view that particular web page, which is a simple web page with one single message. After that, we will clean up, which is nothing but terminating the EC2, which we already launched. Okay, so with that, let's begin the lab exercise. Now we are in step 1. You can log into your AWS console. I want to launch an EC2 so that I can install my Jenkins on this EC2. So click on launch instance and you can give the name as Jenkins or any name you prefer. And you can choose any of these, but I'm going to choose Ubuntu. The latest Ubuntu image is fine. Come down, T2 micro is okay. Come down, key pair, you need a key pair. So if you haven't created a key pair, please create one, but I already have one, so I'm going to use that. Come down and network settings, VPC, this is fine, but security group is very important. You need to have a security group in which you have port numbers 22, 80, 8080 and 9999 ports should be open. So if you don't have a security group, create a new one, but I already have created a security group, so I'm going to choose that. DevOps SG, security group is selected. Come down. You can leave most of the other fields as default values. Click on launch instance. Now we have to wait till this instance is running. I'll stop the video for some time and I'll come back when Jenkins server is in running state. Okay, so the new server, Jenkins server, is in running state. So you have to log into this Jenkins server. So select this, click on connect and go to SSH client. And this is the connection string. Copy that and open a command prompt or terminal and go to your downloads folder where you have stored your key pair. So I have my key pair in downloads folder. So I'm going to paste my connection string. Say yes. I have logged into the EC2. Now I need to install a few utilities such as wget, unzip, AWS CLI, etc., which we are going to use in subsequent steps. So let me do that first. Sudo apt update. Let's update the apt repository with the latest version of these tools. In the next step, I am going to install wget and unzip. Sudo apt install wget unzip -5. And now I want to install awcli. Sudo apt install awcli -5. Okay, now that awcli is installed, you have to configure your awcli by giving your credentials. So let me do that. AWS configure, because AWS should know who is issuing these commands. Now I have to enter my access key ID and secret access key. So let me get that from my downloads folder. So this is my access key ID. Now to check if my credentials are configured properly, I have to do AWS S3 ls, and then if the configuration is successful, it will list my S3 buckets. Yes, it is listing my S3 buckets. So the configuration has worked. Now I need to install Jenkins. For that, I am going to create a small shell script. So let me type it here, my jenkins.sh, and the code I am going to copy paste. Okay, this is the shell script for installing Jenkins. So I'll be providing this script as part of my cheat sheet. You can look at the video description for the link to the cheat sheet. So save, quit. Now I need to execute this shell script. Before that, I have to give execute permission for the script. Okay, now I can execute it. So once this script gets executed, Jenkins will be installed on this EC2. You can see the percentage here. Okay, Jenkins installation is complete. You can check what is the version of Jenkins here. So this means that Jenkins is successfully installed. Now we have to configure, in step number 3, we have to configure Jenkins. Before that, find out what is the IP address of this EC2, external IP address. For that, you can use this command, curl if config.me, and this is the IP address. So copy that, and using that IP address, you can access the Jenkins tool on this EC2 using the IP address and 8080 port number. So you can see that Jenkins is installed and it is asking for the administrator password. Administrator password actually appeared when you ran the shell script. So let us go there and get it. So here is the initial admin password. Just copy that and go back to the page, paste it, and just continue. Now you have to install some plugins. Here we are going to do only a simple lab exercise. So we don't need to install any special plugins. We will go with the suggested plugins. Click on this. So you can see it will take a minute. It is installing a number of plugins which are used for basic use cases. Okay, it is done. Now here you have to set up your admin user ID and password. So since this is a learning exercise, let us use admin as the user ID password. Of course, in real life, you will have to actually provide the proper username and password. Here I am using admin. Full name you can give, and mail ID also you can give something. Save and continue. Instance configuration, this is correct only. You can check the IP address, but that will be correct. Just say save and finish. Start using Jenkins. Okay. Now this is your Jenkins landing page. Before we create the build project, we need to do some configurations. So what we are going to do is we need to install the Maven integration plugin. Let us do that. Go to Manage Jenkins and go to Plugins, and here click on Available Plugins. Here search for Maven integration. Okay, this one. select that. We'll be using Maven for our build project. That's why we need to install this plugin. Click on install and you can see that the installation is going on, and if you come down, installation of all the components are done. Go up. Now you can go back to manage Jenkins once again, and we need to configure the Maven tool. Click on this tools, manage Jenkins tools, come down and here click on add Maven. You can give the name, any name you can give. I will just give Maven Yunus. You can give any name, and you are installing Maven version 3.9.6. okay, you can click on save. Okay, now the Maven tool and the corresponding integration plugin is installed. Now we have to decide on where is your code, where is the source of the code. So you can use this GitHub repository of mine, which is public. You can fork it. It is Unity 37 YT Jenkins. So you can fork this. I'm going to use it directly, of course, but you can actually fork it. So let me show you the code. So index.jsp, you can see that it says Jenkins sample project, welcome, we are learning DevOps. And then it will say it is now, it will give the date, and it will say you are coming from so and so IP address. That's all. It's a simple page. So that's the code. Let me go back to Jenkins. Now next thing is I have to create a project. So click on new item, and here you can say Jenkins Proj and select Maven project. Click on OK. So the project is created, but we need to configure it by linking it with the GitHub repository, etc. So go to source code management and say that source code management, it is Git. So it will ask you what is the repository URL. Go back here and click on YT Jenkins, click on code, and here is the link. Just copy that, go back here, paste. Now it is asked for credentials. Since my repository is public repository, you don't really need to give credential, but I will show you in case if it is private, how do you do that. So I need to add the credential. So add Jenkins. So domain, global credentials, unrestricted, username with password. What is the username? My username is this. You will have to give your username, and password, let me enter. So your GitHub user ID and password. ID, you can say GitHub credentials. GitHub credentials. Add. Now you have to select that. Click on this none and select this. That's it. Now we need to do one more change. You don't need to click on save now. You can do that after making this change in build menu. Here under goals and options, just say clean package, which means that every time it builds the load, it will clean whatever is already there in that target folder, and then it will create a clean package. Now you can save it. Okay. Now your project is ready. You can build it. How do you build it? Click on build now. So if everything is proper, it will build. You'll be able to see the status. I clicked on build now. You can come down here, it will show the status. So it says this is the first build. It will take a minute to complete the build because it is the first time. So let's hope that there are no issues. Okay, good that there are no issues. It is green, which means that it has built successfully. Now if there is an error, it will show in red color, and you can click on this to see the console output, and it will show you the error here. Here anyway there is no errors. It actually worked fine, so it is okay, but in case of error, it will clearly show you what is the error. Okay, now go back to the project, go to workspace to see where it has created the war file. Go to target. So here the war file is created. Now what I will do next is I'm going to install Tomcat web server on my EC2, and then I will move this war file into the document root directory of Tomcat web server. After that, I will be able to view that web page using the IP address of the EC2. So now let me go back to my EC2. I'm going to use the same EC2 where I have my Jenkins running. In the same EC2, I'm going to launch Tomcat web server. For that, I'm going to issue this command. I'll give all these commands as part of the cheat sheet. So I have installed Tomcat 9, and now I have to enable Tomcat 9 in the next step. Now there is a config file where I have to change the port number, because by default it uses 8080 as the port number, but that is already being used by Jenkins. So I'm going to change it to 9999. So use VI to edit this configuration file, and if you search for 8080, this is actually part of comment, so you don't need to change it. But the next one, this one you have to change in line number 69. So let me delete this and add 9999. That's it. Save quit :WQ. Now you have to restart, because you have changed the configuration file. You have to restart Tomcat 9. Just do that and just check the status once again to ensure that it is running. Yes, it is running. Now what I will do is, from the workspace target directory, I'm going to move the war file into the document root of Tomcat 9. For that, you can issue this command, paste. Okay, now just to ensure that the file is copied, you can do this ls and this target directory, and it is actually copied. Now you should be able to view the web page on your browser. For that, again, find out what is your IP address using this command. Okay, it is this. So using that IP address, you have to go to the browser and type this address. You'll have to mention the name of the war file as well. Okay, you can see that this is a simple web page. The idea is just to learn how to install Jenkins and how to create a simple build project and deploy the resulting war file onto a web server and view the web page. So we have successfully completed this exercise. Please try to do it from your side and let me know the results in the comment box. And please ensure that before you stop your exercise, please terminate your EC2. Okay, thank you for watching this video. I'll come back with more such useful videos in future. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye.